Hi there, my name is Matthew Palmer. Welcome to the studio for another watercolour workout. We're going to paint in this beautiful rock in the sea with crashing waves and rivulets of water. Now this technique can be used not only for rocks but for mountains, cliffs and anything that needs that sort of rocky texture. Let's take a quick look at the materials here. We're going to be using some natural grey. We're going to use some natural white. It wants to be some kind of an opaque white, so this one is the liquid white. Give it a shake. But gouache acrylic would be fine. We've got some natural blue, we've got some natural turquoise, we've got some dark skin tone. There's light and dark. We're going to use the dark skin tone here. Brushes wise, we're going to use a size 10, size 6 brush, or a small medium super point. We've also got a branch and detail brush or rigger brush and a small Matthew Palmer treat and texture brush. Got a plastic card here as well, and masking tape, and of course a sheet of paper stuck down, ready to go. Let's have a go at painting some rocks and crashing water against the rocks for this watercolor workout. Now what we're going to do first of all is use a size 10 brush and take some natural blue. We need some colour at the back, so we're just going to take some natural blue, like so, medium strength. Paper's dry for this, slight tilt on the board, and we're going to come across and do some horizontal lines. Now what we'll do is jump back to the palette with a clean brush, and this time we'll take some natural turquoise, which is a lovely colour for the old sea. We'll put that across the bottom there. Let the colours mix together. A graduated wash. Now that needs a dry, so we've got a heat gun or a hairdryer. Give it a blast with the dryer. Take a piece of masking tape, removing the stickiness. Stick it to the desk or something, and pop that probably about a third of the way up. Press it down really well. Now heat is a good way of removing tape. Jump over to the palette. We'll pop the size 10 brush away. We're going to use a size 6 brush here, and what we're going to do is make sure we've got a good strong natural grey, like so. Really thick paint. Don't be afraid of strength of colour here. We also need a little bit of green, natural green light. Pop that just there. It doesn't matter that it mixes with the grey. If anything, that's part of the charm. And then we've got some of this colour, which is actually dark skin. There is a light skin as well. That's the dark one. So we've got strong grey skin tone. And we'll start with the grey actually, make sure that it is quite heavy colour. Wipe on the side. We're doing that because I don't want the paint to creep too much down the back of the tape here. And we'll do some rocks. Imagine this is the rock sticking out of the sea kind of thing. Always good to start with the grey because that'll give you a lovely base. And we'll paint in the edge of the rocks. A similar effect would apply to painting cliffs here as well. So decide how far you want to go. That's probably about right. What we'll do here, jump over to the palette, a slight rinse of the brush, just wipe the excess on the side of the water pot or give it a bit of a shake or something. And then we'll use the skin tone and we'll go straight in with that, making sure all the colours are mixing. And then just grab a bit of the green. You always get a bit of green on the rocks. Let's see, that's kind of the idea here. But these colours are all very thick and they're mixing together. We want them to mix together, need them to mix together. So something like that. Now, once we've got to that stage, it's really important that you glaze over the top of this with whatever's on your brush, and you go over the top of the entire thing. So you cover the entire rock area with dampness. It all wants to be fresh, it all wants to be juicy paint. The paint is tremendously thick. What you do then is you get some kind of a plastic card. I've got one here. Like it might be a hotel key card. Wonder where that was from. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the short edge of the card, put pressure with your thumb, scrape. Have a practice. That's the idea of this workout. So we can go up or down, and we put more pressure towards the corner. Look how it takes the paint off. That's the colour that has been removed. We can do this from anywhere where there's a little peak. Like here. Can you see why I wanted the paint wet? Don't get aggressive and scrape this thing with extra passion. Now, you can use more of the corner to get more of a detailed line, but it's kind of flat. You can see where there's more paint on the corner, can't you, and less here. That's where more pressure's been added to the card. If you use the corner, all you'll get is little thin lines. We don't particularly want thin lines, but that's quite an effective little trick so far. Beautiful. And you can see I can use the corner now to tweak this. Now if it's too dry, just get a damp brush, literally clean the brush, just squeeze it through your fingers or wipe it on a bit of kitchen paper and go over it again. It will reactivate it quite nicely. What we can do then is we can give this another dry, and at the same time as drying it we can also remove the masking tape as well. So we've got the heat gun here, nice and dry. We have a size 6 brush. I'm going to use the grey. Make sure you wipe away that excess on the side of your palette a few times. Sort of rotate the brush as you do that. Same grey. And we just want to add a reflection, little reflection of it basically. So a few horizontal lines going across, just to give a bit of shape to it. A few reflections here and there. My advice here would be to go straight into the skin tone. Add a little hint to that just for continuity and balance. Make sure the colours all fit in. And what you can do is clean the brush really well. Squeeze it through with your fingers. So your brush should just damp or just on tissue. And then just basically use a bit of water. That little bit of dampness that's on the brush is really good at just smoothing out. You sort of skim over the edge quickly. Look at the speed I'm working. Why speed? Because if you hang around too much on the same area, it'll just wash away down to the white paper. So what we do is we skim quickly. And you've got rocks. You have rocks. Now, they could be mountains, they could be cliffs. Hopefully that makes sense. Now that needs time to dry. We'll give it one more blast. Then we're going to put some splashes against this. Let's give it a quick dry. So, the favourite bit, putting the splashes on. We're going to use little bits of masking tape. Stick it to your hand to remove the stickiness. And try your best, you're not going to be precise here, try your best to follow the edge of the rocks. Try not to have too much tape going outside. Get your fingernails to mould the shape a little bit. You're not going to be perfectly precise. As much as you need to. It gets a bit fiddly on the smaller rocks, of course, but yeah. It's all part of the fun. It's all part of the fun. Make sure you get your fingers on to remove any excess stickiness. We don't want it to be too sticky. You can sort of bend that bit around. We're not going to be perfectly precise, but what I would say to you is get your fingernails into it to take away, you know, any perfectly pristine edges here. We don't want to see any perfect edges, do we? Not on this sort of splashing wave effect. So that's protected off. I'm pretty happy that it's not outside of the rocks, it's kind of within it. And then what we do is we add a white paint here. Now I've got a piece of scrap paper that's got some white paint on from the previous picture I was doing. Now the white paint is important to get the right one. So here we've got Matthew Palmer white, which is a liquid white. So do shake it. You could use gouache, you could use acrylic here, but some kind of opaque white. That is beautiful. Look at that. Liquid white. This, you don't need much in the way of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Matthew Palmer tree and texture brush. These have been around for many years. This one is the small one, which is lovely for this. Nice and clean. I'm going to squeeze the excess water through my finger so it's just damp. Mix it into the white and give it a good old stipple. You can see how beautifully spiky that brush is. Make sure the white is very thick. And then we'll jump over to the picture. And of course we add a splash. And the masking tape is going to do a tremendous job of keeping it all clean. You could, of course, use masking fluid for this, but why would you do that when the white paint does a tremendous job of this? If you really want to live life dangerously, and I suggest wearing old clothes for this, you could use a size 6 brush, take some of that thick white, because it goes everywhere, and actually do some of that. This looks really good. I suggest as well with this number 6 that you take some really thick white and just put some thick spots right at the core, right at the base of these rocks to get that lovely splash effect. And of course that's a great way of making sure you're right into the tape edge. If a bit creeps underneath, it's all well and good. It's all part of it. Now again, before we take the tape away, we want to dry that off and take the tape off at the same time. So using the heat gun or hairdryer. How effective is that? Of course, if any white paint crept down the back, there's no reason why you can't come back to your number 6 brush, why you can't grab a bit more sneaky grey here and just have a moment with your grey on the brush and just say, I just want to make that edge a little bit darker. I'm good as I am, but you've got that as an option. If you want to go a step further with this, rivulets, yes, rivulets of water. We could use something like a rigger brush or a Matthew Pond branch and detail brush and take some white. Not too liquid with your white, so maybe a little tap on tissue. But you quite often, if I rotate the board here, you'd often see a few little bits of little rivulets of water just sneaking down, of course, into the sea. They're little veins. And because I'm slightly dry with the white, it's really effective. It's more effective than having a loaded brush. I would also be tempted to add a few little spots and dots around the bottom here. A few horizontals. Just to say where the water is hitting the surface. What I'm doing now is adding a little bit more water to the white and just adding a few little horizontals across, just to give a little bit of extra. But what a beautifully realistic rock we've created. And the technique could be used for cliffs, rocks and hillsides and mountains as well. I'll see you soon. Take care.